For a couple of years, Belgium has experienced a so-called crise d'accueil, a reception crisis, in which thousands of asylum seekers have been left destitute on the streets of Brussels. However, since the end of August 2023, the Secretary of State for Asylum and Migration, Nicole Demore, announced that no more single men will be housed by FedAsyl.
Nicole Demore, elle ne veut plus accueillir les hommes seuls dans les centres faits d'asile. Conséquence directe de cette mesure, de plus en plus de célibataires, demandeurs d'asile, dorment dans les Bruxelles. Et pour ne rien arranger à leur situation, il n'y a plus une dans les bâtiments d'accueil provisoire.
So how is Belgium able to break international law with impunity, and why is nothing being done about it?
Come with us now on a journey through time and space.
To the world of the magical.
So to answer that question to the best of our ability, the first thing to do is find out actually which of the laws is Belgium breaking. The current Common European Asylum System, CEAS, is a harmonisation of EU national legislation. It is a situation in which the rules on asylum have been harmonised on the basis of national rules and EU directives. So there were firstly two generations of rules in 2003 to 2005 and then in 2011 to 2013. The third one is under discussion since proposals in 2016. So basically there are four directives. The first one is the Qualification Directive. That is a harmonisation of the definition of who can be protected and the status of a protected person. The second one is the Reception Directive. So that lays out the obligations of the state before an asylum seeker is recognised as a refugee. So it is during the asylum process for asylum seekers. The third one is the Asylum Procedure Directive, which is the procedural guarantees and the types of procedures, for example, priority procedures. The fourth one is a little bit different. That's the Dublin Regulation, which is the determination of the responsible member state. So Article 17.2 of the CES states the definition for reception conditions. The principle is that member states shall ensure that material reception conditions provide an adequate standard of living for applicants which guarantees their subsistence and protects their physical and mental health. Material reception conditions means the reception conditions that include housing, food and clothing which can be provided either in kind or as a financial allowance. Evidently, in Belgium, the adequate standard of living for applicants is not being met. This, therefore, is a direct violation of the directive. Although this discrepancy directly violates the Reception Directive, and this has been confirmed by about 100,000 of decisions taken by EU judges, the Belgian state does still not apply it. And furthermore, no infringement procedures have been launched by the EU Commission. They are not doing anything about Belgium's actions. Instead, they allow Belgium a so-called discretionary power, which basically enables them to violate the rule of law with impunity. Furthermore, you can argue that Belgium's actions are also in violation of the European Convention on Human Rights, specifically Article 3, which states that nobody shall be subjected to degrading treatment. Leaving people street homeless without access to accommodation, to food, or to basic hygiene, such as toilets and showers, can certainly be considered to constitute degrading treatment. The reception crisis in Belgium is also linked to the accommodation crisis. For people who are in FedAsyl reception centres and have already received their positive decisions are struggling to access accommodation on the private housing market, because of discrimination, and the waiting list for social accommodation is so long that they are unable to leave the reception centre, and so places cannot be made available for new arrivals. It is clear that Europe's Declaration of Human Rights is a hypocrisy. While Europe makes the law, they break the law, and they do so without any regard for the law. Yes, they state, all humans are equal, but some are more equal than others. I think at this time of toxic masculinity, it is particularly hypocritical to talk about equality and then at the same time to introduce a policy which excludes all single men on the basis purely of their masculinity. As we get closer and closer towards winter, the situation is only going to get worse. Not only that, but in Belgium, the government have introduced a zero policy in the trains and the metro stations, which means that during the winter, when the train station or the metro station is the only place that's going to be relatively dry, safe and warm, they're going to be closed and people are going to be kicked out onto the street. At the moment, figures estimate that there are around 3,000 asylum seekers sleeping on the streets of Brussels and about 6,000 or 7,000 homeless people in Brussels in total. Instead of finding solutions to the problems, the state is only further penalising and criminalising innocent people. The Belgian state must be held accountable for their actions. It is not a result of inaction that this takes place, it is the direct result of Belgian policy. EU citizens must become aware of the hypocrisies of the European governments and of the European states and seek to challenge these and hold them accountable.